We have Reliance.
Indeed, a lot of heavyweights coming out with their numbers. Meantime, news just out that the CBI has indeed raided the residence of Dayanidhi Maran's residence in Chennai. There you can see visuals actually trickling in, and this of course is in relation to the Aircel Maxis deal as well. So that is news that we're just getting, that the CBI team is currently present at Dayanidhi Maran's offices as well in Chennai, and they've registered a case against Dayanidhi Maran in the Aircel Maxis deal.
Let's get in a word from Mr. Douglas Blake now, Wealth Manager with New Bridge Securities. Mr. Blake, morning. Thank you for joining us. Mr. Blake, the world is breathing breathing it rather easy. The dollar index has slipped below 79. Global volatility, which is CBOE VIX, also has slipped from levels of 40 plus to levels of 35 plus. Do you think in the near term, market watchers are of the view that European banks will be capitalized, and that is helping the mood and the sentiment?
I think a lot of the reaction we're seeing on Wall Street, certainly in the past week, is a bit of an oversold rally, but it's really a short-term phenomenon because the view from 30,000 feet is a little bit more alarming. And what we're kind of seeing in the Eurozone, and it's something eerily reminiscent of the U.S. in 2008, is this sort of the politics of inadvertency, where we see these measures that aren't quite enough to win the war, but also, not just enough to not lose. And until we see sweeping changes or a mechanism big enough to get its arms around this entire problem, I think you're going to see these markets very volatile. The VIX will remain elevated, and we should see this sort of choppy action for the foreseeable future until, like the U.S., we get that final resolution that encompasses all of the bad debt, all of the issues.
Mark, hi, morning. The downgrades clearly don't seem to be stopping. Now it's Spain and Italy. What about risk aversion? Does it seem like investors are going to stay out of the market for the next 6 to 12 months to come before the entire instability and the dust really settles down?
Truthfully, the fundamentals still support a pretty strong U.S. market, and even across the globe. And we've been in this holding pattern for quite some time, seeing these negative news items come across the tape day in, day out. This morning we're going to hear all about the bailout of Dexia. It's very hard to take a long-term approach to these markets given all of this near-term uncertainty. And it really remains to be seen just how much damage has been done by all this uncertainty. When the coast is clear, when the dust settles, will investors want to get back to that same?
Okay, we seem to have lost that audio. We will try and patch back that line in just a bit. But that's the picture across Europe. While US may have softened a little bit on Friday night, the FTSE, the CAC and the DAX did have a decent performance in trade. DAX was up about almost 0.5%, and FTSE as well was holding on to the tune of about almost 0.2%.
Douglas, global investors currently are buying US Treasury in anticipation that they may not make money, but they may not lose money as well. When do you think investors will start pulling money out of US Treasuries?
We're starting to see that shift already. And we had a nice rally in the markets last week, and it didn't take long for the Treasuries to start selling down and the markets to start trading higher. It's going to be sort of a seesaw, a balance in that regard, where as people start to see the U.S. equities market as being more investable, they'll finally sort of remove their assets from these safe havens like Treasuries and start putting that capital to work. A very telling event on the horizon is the earnings season is about to start this week. We have Alcoa, the aluminum giant, kicking off earnings after the bell on Wednesday. So we'll be watching very closely to see if corporate America has weathered the storm, and this could be a big boost to the confidence of U.S. investors.
Okay, Douglas, good to have you on the show. Thanks very much for taking time out and speaking with us. That's the view coming in terms of the equities globally and which way the funds may be headed. But what about our markets? The SGX Nifty suggesting a start above 4,900. Let's bring in Darshan to talk about the internals this morning. Darshan.
See, what we saw, Aisha, was a short covering rally that came on Friday, which converted to a lot of fresh buying happening through the end of the day. So almost 6 lakh shares added as far as open interest was concerned on the Nifty. What we're seeing is the maximum call concentration is at the 5,200 level. Almost 61 lakh shares is the total open interest on this